Hi, my name is Steve Goldman and I'm going to serve as your facilitator for the Mack Lake Staff Ride. And what we're going to do today is walk you through 34 years of history, the tragic Mack Lake fire, and then two other fires in the Mack Lake Basin. So we're here at Stand 1, and this is where on May 5th, 1980, the Myo Ranger District tried to implement the Crane Lake prescribed fire. This was a 28-acre burn unit in light grass and slash, and it was part of a larger project that was a 186-acre clear cut. And that clear cut was for creating habitat for the endangered Kirtland's warbler. Kirtland's warbler needs young regenerating jack pine for habitat, so jack pine that's between 5 feet and 15 feet tall. And lack of fire, there's no young jack pine habitat in this area anymore. So the Ranger District, the way to fix that is do a clear cut and then plant and create the habitat where wildfires used to do that through crown fire. So in 1978, the 186-acre unit was cut. And then in 1979, the district was hoping to do the prescribed burns in those different units that comprise 186 acres. The weather didn't allow that, so then came 1980, and May 5th, the district felt that they had weather where they could implement the burn. Again, this is an endangered species, so there was a lot of desire to try to get the burn done so that they could start planting and create the habitat. The weather forecast for the day was a cold front coming early in the afternoon, about noon, and because of the small unit size, they hoped to burn that 28 acres in the morning, starting at 9 o'clock, and have the burn unit complete by noon. So they had about 3 hours, and that was a plan. They had 11 personnel to do the burn. They had a burn boss and 10 other firefighters who were operating a Type 7 engine with 125 gallons, a 1,000-gallon deuce and half 6x6 engine, and a John Deere 450 tractor. In the morning, things didn't go as planned. They came out to the site and they did not get the burn started at 9 o'clock in the morning. They took weather readings about 9:45, and the temperature was 74 degrees with humidity of 37%. And that was within prescription. The prescription for the day was temperature greater than 45 degrees, humidity between 25 and 50%, and a west wind between 5 and 10 miles an hour. Now we're on the east side of Highway 33, and so the west wind would have been pushing towards us, and the burn area is on the other side of the highway, and approximately where you see that Diamond Highway sign was the very southeast corner of the burn unit. So they had their wind pushing the fire against the highway. The control lines that they had on the southwest side and the west side of the burn were old Forest Service 2-track roads, so they were good control lines. And then the control line that they had on the east side of the fire was a tractor plow line. So they had put a tractor plow line in between the highway and the burn unit. And yes, there's an ORV trail right here. So that was the plan for the morning. They were in prescription. They had a cold front coming, and they got started at 10:26 in the morning with their actual ignitions down here in the very southeast corner of the burn, which is closest to us where we're standing now. They proceeded firing on the east fire line, which parallels the highway, and they had grass mostly between their tractor plow line and the highway. As they moved north with their ignitions, they initially got 4 spots in the grass, and the firefighting resources were able to quickly handle those 4 spots as they moved north. As they continued north, they then started also to fire from the southeast corner around the west side. So they would run a head fire from the west to the east, bump into their black line, and should be good. However, they were getting frequent spotting. They continued firing to the north, and during that, the Type 7 engine got stuck on a stump. And so the dozer had to disengage from what they were doing, chasing some of the spot fires on the east side, and go help pull the engine off of that stump. However, firing continued. So as they worked their way to the north along the burn line, they eventually got spots 5 and 6. Those spots took most of the suppression forces to handle. And again, the Type 7 engine this time stalled out in the burn unit. And that pulled the dozer away again because it was in the burn unit and that truck was at risk of burning up. So things were not going as the crew had planned. And I want to back up a little bit. Before the crews started this burn, there was some preparation that they didn't have completed. They were supposed to have set out several 300-gallon bladders to give them some extra water on the burn unit, and those never got set up because the day before they had initial attack. So the crews didn't have everything that was planned for the day to support them. Also, they only had 11 people because some of the staff on the district was in a training that day. So you didn't have the full weight of the district staff to help with the burn. The dozer operator who was operating the John Deere 450, his final certification for his dozer operator qualification was planned for the next day. So that operator wasn't fully signed off for the standards of the day for the burn. So you can see they've had a late start. They don't have as many people as they normally would have. They don't have all the logistics set up that normally you would have on the burn. One of the 11 people on the burn is a district ranger. So the ranger was actually serving as one of the firefighters to help make sure this burn went as planned. So as they continued firing at approximately 12:06 in the afternoon, remember they started at 10:26, they got another spot on the east side of the fire in between the burn unit and the highway, and that spot was in more mature timber. They had left a fair amount of timber between the burn unit and the highway. That timber was left there for visual aesthetics. One of the things the district didn't want was for motorists along this main highway to see a clear cut. So they had screened that with leaving some mature timber. But of course what that meant was they had jack pine fuel right on the other side of their fire line, and the fire is now spotted into that. So the burn boss has a problem at this point. He's got his Type 7 engine that is stalled in the burn unit at risk of burning up, and they've got their 7th spot fire and is now essentially a slop over outside of their burn unit and burning to the east with the wind. A west wind is pushing it towards the highway. So they pull the truck to safety, and the tractor plow then goes to the north end of the burn unit and starts plowing a line and connecting it to Highway 33 because they cannot fully stop the spot that has come over on the east line. So they're now going to try to tie it in to the highway, and and this is what they were getting back in 1980. Lots of traffic coming through, so they were dealing with that. The burn boss had already called for the sheriffs to assist because there was so much smoke on the highway that there was a traffic concern. So the fire slopped over. They're now switching to Plan B and trying to connect it to the highway and hopefully hold it before it jumps the highway.